Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Empire, where we dominate the crypto market. My name is Connor and we have another live stream for tonight. So let's get right into it with our crypto market overview. There is a lot to discuss right now, so let's get right into this. Shout out to everyone in the live chat from around the world. Be sure to smash up that like button on your way into the stream, whether you're watching it live or you're watching the replay. The goal for this stream is 200 likes at the absolute minimum. So let's go ahead and smash that goal. Get it started by hitting the like button right now. Thank you for all of your support. Shout out to everyone like Ghost, long-time live streaming Crypto Empire community member. Been here for like, what, 3-4 years now, Ghost. Always a pleasure to see your name here in the chat. And we will definitely look at KTA on base. You say off stream. I've seen it before. It was running essentially while the market was quiet. But anyways, we'll get into that in a moment. For now, let's go over where things are currently at. So crypto bubbles, quite the opposite of what we saw over the past few weeks. And obviously, since Bitcoin broke out, we're seeing altcoins now go ahead and push up. So not a lot of red, aside from a few over here in the bottom right corner of our screen, such as the Trump token down 5.8% on the day. Now, the Trump token was supposed to have a massive unlock, I believe yesterday. However, President Trump announced that the top 220 holders of his token are going to get invited to a private dinner with him, and they delayed that token unlock worth several $1 million, like a large percent of the supply. They delayed that for 90 days, right? So Trump delaying the tariff, Trump delaying his token unlock, Trump's just delaying everything right now. So anyways, that is what happened with the Trump token. If you were wondering. And it did have a very nice pump on the announcement of that dinner with Trump, the top 220 holders. So a big breakout, $7.20 to a high of $16, and now it's pulled back to $12. But anyways, that's just the Trump token. I don't hold the Trump token. If you look at the top gainers on the day, we are essentially, we're back for the time being. Looking at all this green on the top gainers list, a lot of, 40%, 30% gains on the day. Meme coins like Popcat up 23% on the day. So a lot of activity we're seeing back with meme coins, with altcoins. However, it's still pretty interesting because I don't think we're going to see our big crazy altcoin run just yet. Why is that? I explained this in the last live stream. It's a simple concept. Hopefully you guys can understand it. I'm pretty sure you do. But for altcoins to really see a 2021, March 2024, or a 2017 type of run, that does require Bitcoin dominance to drop. It requires capital in Bitcoin to distribute to other places in the market. All right. And we still haven't hit that key level yet on Bitcoin dominance, right? You guys might be thinking, oh, key level, what about 72K Bitcoin? That never hit. You said that was a key level. Well, you have to understand, when the total 2, and the other major liquidity charts hit those levels, that did mark the bottom for this current run we are seeing. However, if we're going to see a mega altcoin season like 2017, 2021, March 2024 even, it's going to require this to happen where we see Bitcoin dominance to drop down. It's probably also going to require Ethereum, Bitcoin, ETH, BTC to break this brutal downtrend that it's essentially nearing the 2017 lows over here, 2016 lows as well. This very high time frame demand level all the way at the bottom of the chart now. It does look like the destination for Ethereum versus Bitcoin. And it's at quite a low number. It's at 1 million Satoshis per Ethereum. Right? So just for reference, over here, December of 2021, Ethereum was trading for 8.7 million Satoshis. Right now, it's trading for 1.8 million Satoshis, and where we're looking for the bottom out target at this point in time, because it did just break structure here, we're looking for it to ideally bottom out in this demand zone going back to 2016, 2017, which is from 1.34 million sats to like 700K. That's how wide the zone is. And right in the middle of the zone is a million Satoshis per Ethereum. So yeah, that big mega altcoin season, it doesn't quite look like we're going to have that yet, but that doesn't mean we can't make money in the interim. We can't trade altcoins in the interim. And it's just a bigger picture thing I'm explaining here. This is like the macro picture. If I had to put my finger on when this is going to happen, I mean, look, at this point, it's going to be like either late this year, or it's probably going to happen next year at this point. We're already like over a quarter way through 2025. And we have to wait for this trend to essentially top out on Bitcoin dominance. But anyways, that's altcoin season. The focus is Bitcoin right now, right? The focus is BTC. So let's go over what the heck is happening on Bitcoin, because you should be prepared for what comes next. So let's just kind of do a little bit of a review here, and then we'll talk about the scenarios that we're looking for to happen. So main review point is the fact that we, again, have closed above the previous swing high level at 88K. So that confirmed a bullish break of market structure. It confirmed a new uptrend, all right? You know, we had the double bottom here, daily time frame, weekly time frame, bullish divergence, right? That was all precursors. And now we've actually confirmed it, right, 2 days ago with the breakout move. Now, like I discussed last live stream, we're now at the cusp of facing two very important swing high levels on Bitcoin. We have $95,000, which is when the Ethereum conference was going on. I remember sitting in my hotel room in Denver, Colorado at the Ethereum conference with that news of Trump announcing the strategic altcoin reserve. He pumped it from like 82K to 95K and back down to 82K in the matter of like an hour. All right, so this is a previous swing high. However, it's not as important as the $99,000 previous swing high level up here, 99K, where our magnet currently lies. So again, this is our main target for this current rally, $99,000, $100,000 BTC. And again, I don't think the market is just going to go straight up to that point. This is a very big resistance level at 90, 93, 94, 95,000, where we are currently at. And also one thing to note, right, if we're going to trade supply and demand as well, we want to be able to identify higher time frame supply and demand zones. There is a supply zone here. There is a drop-based drop supply zone at $96,200 up to 97K. So what are we looking for? If we don't think that price is going to go straight to the 99K previous swing high, what are we looking for? We're looking for a pullback, right? What's going to trigger that pullback? Probably this current resistance we're at the 95K level, or this supply zone up here, 96 to 97K. Now, it's never a great idea to just like blindly short. It's always a good, especially when price is now like confirmed an uptrend. However, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be looking too short. So yeah, what we're essentially looking for is a push to these highs. It's very close. And then, you know, some lower time frame closures back underneath, ideally like 4-hour, 8-hour closures back underneath the 95K level. After wicking into it, we want to see it come back below. We're just essentially looking for a swing failure pattern at the current moment in time above that 95K high. Obviously, it might not happen like this, but this is like the main scenario that I'm looking for where price is currently at right now. All right, so just a little push up here from like 94, above 95, and ideally price comes and closes back below that swing high at 95. And then we're looking for that pullback. All right, so if we get it like this, where do we want to look to like close or cover shorts and then get long? Where's the market going to bounce from if we were to pull back? Well, obviously this is predicting like multiple moves into the future, but you know, we can go ahead and assess that. So if you guys remember what happened over here from November to January, Bitcoin was trading in this higher time frame range, this premium range from around in $88,000, $89,000 to the highs up here at 109K. Back in November, December, January, if you guys were watching the live streams then, you would have heard me repeat that 89K level like every single day. 89K, 89K, 89K. Why is that important? Because it was this swing low. It was the low of the range here, this one. It's right here at $89,000. We'll put a little price label so you guys can see $89,100 right here was that swing low of the range. So if we're looking for a pullback here, this is where I'm looking essentially. I'm looking in this level, all right? Now there's obviously a lot going on at this level with local price action, right? We have the previous resistance, previous support over here. It's a major support resistance flip over here, 89K. Also what we can do, let's go to the lower time frame. Right, we want to line this up with fib confluence. So if we pull a fib from the lows over here out of this basing pattern before the big breakout, right, using this as our swing low, and the high, which might change, right, the high might be a little bit higher, but for now it's at $94,685. We have multiple fib levels, including the 50%, right at the 89K level. The GP golden pocket, it's going to be right at 87, 88K. Right, if you want to take it this low. All you have to know is that like the 50% Fibonacci in the golden pocket out of this swing low to swing high, it all lines up with that 89K level. So if I had to use my magical crystal ball here to predict this, hit 95, hit 89, hit 99. We'll see. We'll see. Again, we're pulling out the magical crystal ball here for this one. But that's the main scenario that I am looking for. There's always the possibility where we just have a crazy Bitcoin pump that doesn't stop, where we just go straight up. We go right up to new all-time highs. That's always possible with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a very unique asset in the sense where the volatility can go to extremes in both directions. If you look at the options risk curve, it demonstrates this perfectly, right? If you look at the S&P 500 risk curve, it's like a basic little smirk, right, where it's favored to go up over time. If you look at the Bitcoin options risk curve, it is a huge, essentially U, where it can swing in both directions like crazy. So there's always this scenario here where Bitcoin just pumps directly to the all-time high, yes, but I do put a low probability on that scenario. Mainly, like I said, being the fact that we're at a major resistance point here. It's probably in everyone's best interest if they don't FOMO into anything and instead look for signs of a pullback here at this resistance if and when price does hit the level at 95K. All right, lads, hopefully that makes sense. Let's see, shout out to DD, and we got Guts Motors in the building as well. What's going on? Guys, the like milestone for this stream is 200 likes. All right, we're like 10% of the way there. Let's get there. Let's do it together. Smash up the like button. Thank you for all of your support. Appreciate it. Shout out to Rinum19. What's going on, Rinum? Saying hit the like button. Yes, sir. We got Dan Griffiths in the building. What's going on, Dan? And BTC Nation saying, yo, California here. We got BTC Nation all the way from sunny California, as well as, everyone else here from all around the world. Appreciate you guys being here. Go says, what do I think of KTA? It does, like you said, right? It's got a lot of good, strong fundamentals. So, look, I like to look for altcoins that have several unique factors that I've discussed at length here on the channel, right? I've done hour-long presentations on things like this. But, we look for teams that are like actual builders that are innovating. Ideally, they have some kind of strong treasury. This way they can sustain tough times. Ideally, we look for coins that are fairly launched without heavy VC presence, with crazy unlocks to favor insiders, right? So that they can just dump on your head, right? Some of the main factors we look for, very strong community as well, which is important. So yeah, something like this launching on base is essentially like a placeholder. As you can see, Kita is connecting all blockchain and financial networks with a single regulatory compliant layer 1 network, right? So it's a layer 1. So essentially this base token is, in a sense, it's a placeholder, right? Because they're going to have their own layer 1. So anyways, yes, the fundamentals are solid. Now, when it comes to this coin, this is an interesting pattern, right? It's new. It's put in a really aggressive pump. And now it's just been in a range. So let's market our range structure like we always do. Range high. To me, the range high is here. Let's use a Fibonacci as well. To me, the range low is there. Okay, so here's our current range. We have price sweeping the range high, sweeping the range low 3 times, 1, 2, 3. Triple bottom essentially, which is one of the more reliable technical patterns in the financial markets and crypto, right? There's all kinds of patterns: bull flags, bear flags, triangles, pennants, head and shoulders, wedges, whatever. But a triple bottom like this or an inverse head and shoulders, it is somewhat reliable. So we have that. We have price trading at the 50% equilibrium of the range of the current moment in time. And, it does appear we're in a buy program, right? Another buy program has essentially started here in the markets. Hopefully you guys remember my buy program, sell program walkthrough that I did here on a stream, because that's very important. So being the fact that, yes, we are in a buy program, we should be looking for reasons to get long or to be bullish right now. So look, how it stands right now, these range lows got hit a bunch, right? They got hit a bunch, but so they can potentially get hit again. We'll see if it does want to troll and take out the 4-hour lows over here at a 31 mil market cap, right? That would be a 50% drop, pretty steep. If in the future you do see price down here, it's likely going to be a great buying opportunity. But, given the fact we have a lot of signs of strength across the board, it doesn't appear that we might get that right now. So also USDT dominance still reacting off of this 25-day hidden order block. Right, and it's also at the previous swing low level. Right, here's that 25-day hidden order block that price is reacting to. So if this is going to push up before pushing down further, we might get a pullback on alts and BTC, which is what we just discussed. So if we do get the pullback, where should you look on KTA? Let's keep it simple. Range low, 50 million market cap range low. And you just want to look for a breakout of the range high for now. Subject to change. But that's what I'm seeing right now. Hopefully that helps, Ghost. Shout out to Dre as well. What is going on? And Glasshopper77. What is up? Morel Oral, good to see you, my man. Dan Griffiths, yes, sir. That bottom call of yours, I do recall you being very bullish down there. Shout out to you. Hopefully you took action. I assume you did, but yeah, hopefully you took action. Shout out to Matt1. What's up, Matt1? Crypto Mike. Pot Spam says, take a look at Treb. So Treb right now, we were talking about it last stream when it was still at 24 cents. It has started to move off of the bottom. Right? It has pumped 20% off of those lows. So can't really say I'm like too shocked or surprised. But it's very, very minuscule in the grand scheme of things that we're seeing right now. And it's great, though, because it crossed above that 1 million market cap milestone. It's so absurdly undervalued for what this project is, right? The first version 4 DEX. You look at other DEXs on the train trading for multiples higher, right? There's DEX tokens on base that only have version 3. that are inflated like crazy, bought their social metrics that are at like 15 million market cap. So Treble is like such a stress-free hold to me, at least personally, because I understand what it is. And I understand the other competition out there in the market and how it just simply blows them out of the water. Most guys just don't understand that, which is fine. But yeah, that's the situation with Treb. So what needs to happen here if we're going to apply analysis like we do on all the other charts? We got to take out the previous swing high, which is at 35 cents. All right, we want to see a daily closure above 35 cents here on Treb. That's the next target. That's the next thing to be looking out for. Once that happens, I would expect more likely than not a move to 60 in this area. But we'll take it level by level. Look, this thing can move so quick because the market cap is so low. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for in the chart right now. And as you can see, they are boosting Treb. I did get a retweet because they activated gasless swaps as well. So guess what? You don't even need ETH. You don't need any gas to swap on Treb. So yeah, they're bringing it. They're bringing it to the table. I like what I'm seeing out of them. And I think it's just the start. But we'll keep up to date on that one. So we have a troll in the comment section failing to look at the fact that I made it abundantly clear that there was a pretty decent chance that we did bottom out. I was looking for Bitcoin to hit 72K, but I made it abundantly clear that all the other charts hit their key levels. Just addressing a troll and putting him in his miserable place. We can take a few minutes to address him. So anyways, right, we hit the key liquidity up here on USDT dominance at the high of that 6.1% zone, right? We hit the level on the total down here at 2.38 trillion. We hit the total 2 at 860 billion. When this hit at the bottom on April 7th, I bought several altcoins, right? I wasn't scared like you probably were, trying to act all tough here in my live stream comments section. I actually publicly said I bought at the exact bottom on April 7th, and I made it abundantly clear as well from April 7th to the 20th, to 420, just a few days ago, there was a very, very good chance that we actually did bottom out. Sorry I wasn't absolute on the fact that we didn't, or that we did bottom out. So, because guess what? Anyone who's absolute about their market analysis is going to get wrecked. The market is not absolute. It's all probabilities and everything can happen. So anyways, that's enough and we'll go ahead and move on. But to that guy, I just say you just simply don't understand, man. Hopefully you can understand one day, because you certainly don't right now. Crypto Mike smashing up the like button. Appreciate that. We got Cooper. What is up, Cooper? He says, what do you think of this 4-hour range? Think we can make a short-term pullback to 88 before completing the 5th wave of the Elliott wave? It's funny you mentioned that 88K level. I wonder if that was before or after that I went over my Bitcoin analysis. So here's the 4-hour range that our boy Coop is describing, right? On the 4-hour, we're just above that previous swing high at 95K. And we're in this tight range over here. So yes, Cooperator. The idea that I'm looking for right now, the main scenario, is sweep these range highs and hit that 95K level, right? Because remember, that's that previous swing high from over here, right? We may pierce into our supply zone at 96 to 97. But we're looking for a closure, a swing failure pattern back underneath the previous swing high. And yes, indeed, the level we are looking for the pullback is that 89, 88K level, which again is the previous low from this long range where Bitcoin was at in December and January or late November as well, right? The range lows over here, it's 89, 88K. So we're looking for a pullback to those levels if all does go to plan and the scenario works out here in the short term. And what do I think of Tara? So we're gonna do this now. When you guys ask me about like these, I'm familiar with Tara, right? Or Taraxa, however you pronounce it, right? It was compared to Caspa back in 2023, right? It's a layer 1 proof of work. As you can see, they migrated to mainnet, whatever. So why do you ask me what I think of Taxera? Are you holding the coin right now? Do you want me to say it's going to go up? Like, what's some more information is appreciated in the question? Because remember, guys, better questions, more detailed questions give more detailed answers. So if you want everyone to be able to learn as much as possible from the stream, if we all ask better questions, I'll be able to provide better answers. Long story short, what do I think of Taraxa? I would call it a very high-risk speculative investment that is not in the strongest of its class, of its competition in its field. All right, so it's definitely not at like the top of a priority list of something that I want to buy. Hopefully that helps, though. Vincent P with some jokes. That's a good one, Vincent. And Yachter's asking to check out Woo. The Woo. Shout out to the King of New York, a.k.a. Pop Smoke. The Woo. Now, closed above PSH. Cool. Right? As most altcoins have. Approaching monthly open, already tagged it. Supply zone right at the monthly open. Let's see. Daily time frame, hidden order block. Up here at 8.5 cents. And also, we are at the equilibrium of this swing high to swing low. Swing high, swing low, 50% right here, where price wicked into once already. So if we're expecting, again, BTC to pull back and USDT dominance to potentially have a retracement higher from this important level at 5%, that does mean that we could see something like this on alts. Right, we very well could see something like that on alts before a continued run. So for Woo, I would be a little bit weary about, the resistance that price is quickly approaching right here at 7 to 8 cents. I would be a little bit weary of it. With that being said, I have noticed how we have some pretty nice confluence with this order block I mentioned within this fair value gap, right? That's also at the 70.5% fib confluence of the overall fractal move, swing low to swing high, or swing high to swing low in this case. And we'll just measure this order block or measure this fair value gap for good measure. And we want to get the 50% of it. And that's just here at 8.7 cents. So anyways, looking at Woo. Yeah, we want to be wary of price facing resistance here and facing resistance here. This has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's had now 8. It's on its 8th consecutive green candle. Right, in this case, my chart shows purple candles as green candles. But it has had 8 consecutive green days now. Heading into this higher time frame resistance level. It just it does appear that we will likely see some type of move to potentially retest the Monday high or this level over here, this level, which is going to be at 6.6 cents. This is the plan for most altcoins that we're going to look at today. They all have like a similar type of scenario we're looking for. And this does rely, right? It's important to understand right now, not Bitcoin dominance, but USDT dominance is here at this higher time frame, previous low. Notice here on the daily time frame, it's wicked it. Let's go back to the daily, not the 12-hour. On the daily time frame, this previous swing low level has been wicked into 1, 2, 3 times now. And the price has managed to close above the level every single time, giving us these, daily time frame swing failure patterns, which in this case is typically something to look for. That's going to be a reversal, right? It doesn't mean a full-on reversal, given the fact we closed above this previous swing low, which is at 5.15%, right? We had this big daily candle close above, confirming this downtrend break. So we have the confirmed downtrend break. So some guys will probably be looking at this and saying, yeah, it did a swing failure pattern at this swing low, so it's just going to pump back up here. And while that could happen, I would say that doesn't appear to be likely, right? If it put in a long wick and closed above this level at 5.15, I would say, yeah, sure. But that's not the case. But yeah, we are essentially looking for right now, me at least, back to around 5.35%. So if we're going to have USDT dominance make this move up here, it's going to mean everything is going to pull back. Everything is going to pull back. Which is why I'm saying to be a little bit careful of altcoins and Bitcoin itself at this resistance, or their own respective resistance levels. Real quick, let's take a look at the BVol, right? The Bitcoin Volatility Index 7-day. So what we have is we have the reversal has formed, right? The BVol bottomed out, and all this does is tell us when volatility is low, it's going to go high again, and the market's going to start moving again. It doesn't say it's going to go up or down. It just says there's going to be volatility. And we have the sign of the reversal, and volatility has obviously returned to the market, right? We went from 74K to 94K in a relatively brief amount of time. But anyways, one thing to note is that we haven't had an expansive move here on BVol, right? What do I mean by an expansive move? I mean like one of these big candles, or like a breakaway candle, like a real bullish engulfing breakaway candle. We haven't really had one of those yet. And just for reference, like in the past when we had big breakaway candles, right? For example, we had this one on April 2nd, this one here, right? Where price reversed, it was going up, and then it put in like a real kind of breakaway candle on April 2nd, right? So we can just compare that to the chart here and look at what happened on April 2nd, right? If we look at what happened on April 2nd, we had a crazy move up to 88,000, and the price closed down here at 82. And then the rest of that move up on the BVol moving up, it was Bitcoin bottoming out at 74. All right, this breakaway candle happened on the 25th of February. This is the last example we'll do here. I don't want to spend too much time on this. But the 25th of February, when that big breakaway candle happened, what happened? That's when we closed above the 89K level, that previous range low. All right, so we're about to have a breakaway candle on the BVol now. And this is going to be like, this is going to be a big move. It's going to be a big move here, right? When we get an actual like big candle on the BVol. So how that might look, again, if we're going to see some crazy breakaway volatility here, it's probably going to be something extreme, like bang, bang, right? Where we do a 5K swing down, or even a 7K swing down from 95 to 88, and then a crazy 11K swing up from 88 to 99, 100K. It's going to be really, really volatile is the point I'm making here. And we know that because of how the BVol looks right now, right? The live analysis on the BVol is telling us to brace for it. This has just been the precursor, We haven't had any big expansive breakaways yet on the B-vol, but that's coming soon. Coming soon. But yeah, all these stablecoin dominance charts, right? They're all at these like support levels on the higher time frame. So this is a logical spot to see it do a retracement before breaking down lower. Just like it's a logical spot for Bitcoin to push up to 95, just right there, stone's throw away from the current price, and then have a pullback as well, right? If we're going to line up the total liquidity charts with the Bitcoin chart itself. Anyways. We got our boy Topi Wales in the building. What is going on, Topi? He says, hey, Connor, I'm looking at Ray, Popcat, and Suie for shorts as they're on resistance. Please look at them and tell us what you think. My man, Topi. Yeah, we'll take a look at those. Guys, by the way, smash up the like button. 200 likes for the stream is the goal. We're about a quarter way there, so help your boy hit 200 likes. Smash up the like button. Thank you very much. So, Popcat. So we're definitely in resistance, like you said. We're definitely in resistance. It's just a matter of how much price wants to push into resistance. All right, so it's also right at the equilibrium, right at the 50% fib of this high to the absolute low. Which is interesting. And it's also in the golden pocket of this high to this low. Different high, same low. So Topi. And the daily 200 EMA is up here at 49 cents. Price likes to hit those levels. It does like to hit these levels. All right, so we have bearish divergence beginning to form. We also can now draw this. So we do see sometimes just the double top, right? But a triple top would be ideal, or a triple drive. And if we happen to pump into the daily 200 EMA in a triple drive, that would be like a perfect short. I'm not sure we get that. I'm not sure we get it to look so perfect where it just stares at us in the face. But that does happen from time to time, as you know, right? Given that you're an active trader, you know sometimes the setup just stares at you in the face and it's so obvious, it's glaringly obvious. It does happen. So that's the main thing that we like to see, which would be a triple drive. Blow up to like 48, 49, 50 cents. And then roll over from there. It's just, personally, there's no short trigger yet. To me at least. There's no short trigger just yet. It looks, depending on how these candles close, but right on the 15-minute, we did just close above this high. Yeah, it's not there for me yet, but it's close, Topi. I'd be looking for again. Just this wick sticks out of me at 48.4 to the daily 200 EMA at 49.5. That's what I would be looking for up here. Stop above the 7.0, which is even still super wide for my liking at a 9% to stop loss. It's kind of a, but the reward is there too if we do get a major drop, which, you know, has a good chance of happening if we're going to retest some of these lower breakout levels. But yeah, it's close, but it's not quite there. Let's see if another chart looks better, because I'm really not seeing it clear there on Popcat. Suie. So here is Suie. Major untested levels left behind lower that we will revisit at a future date. Just like 72K Bitcoin, right? The trolls are probably laughing, but they won't be. But anyways, like if there's a very obvious level of liquidity on the chart, a very obvious like higher time frame demand zone or supply zone, just because price may have front run it doesn't mean that it won't come back to it in the future. One quick example, just a quick one. One quick example would be what happened last year on Bitcoin. Do you guys recall? Right, we had this very obvious demand zone down here at 50K Bitcoin. We'll get back to Suie in a second. But just because price leaves behind and it doesn't touch the level doesn't mean that it's not going to come back and grab it. That's very important to understand. So here in this case, what happened in July, we had Bitcoin come down to 53,000, just short. It just front ran its very important key level demand zone at 50K. Price pumps back up to resistance and made a lower high, and then it went in a straight line down, and it took that level. And then it went to a new all-time high. So just because the level got front ran doesn't mean it won't come back to it in the future. And that's kind of common sense. But common sense ain't so common nowadays, is it? You open up Twitter or Instagram or any other social media application and you just scroll and you literally get brain rot. So yes, common sense is not so common nowadays. It's definitely not. So that's why I have to go over stuff like this. But let's take a look at Suie again. So very expansive move here we're seeing on Suie. Keep it simple. So we want to look for the origins of major moves down in price. Where's the origin of a major move down in price? It's right here at $3.40 to $3.50. Right? Notice what happened. We had a very sharp move in price from this point. So that tells us, you know, there's a good chance that potentially there's leftover sell orders in this level. And that's what a supply zone is. That's going to make sellers override the buyers and push it down. So Suie is actually right in this level. It is right in supply. And if we go body to wick, it hit it already. Crazy, straight up move. Also doing a bit of a fish hook. Right? See the fish hook? And it is displaying signs such as bearish divergence on these lower time frames that it may be looking to do a little drop. So we have important highs up here at 356. And just above that, important highs at 373. I would be a little bit weary of trying to short before those highs get taken. Right? Because the whole algorithm and everyone now is saying pullback, pullback, pullback. So everyone now is like, we got to look for shorts. We got to look for shorts. Where's the short? Where's the short? So if we know now that the hive mind is thinking we got to look for shorts, where are they all going to put their stop loss? They're going to put it above this high, or they're going to put it above this high. Which is why I'm saying it's probably best to wait for the price to go and take those highs, just like on Bitcoin. Again, the whole algorithm, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everyone who makes crypto content, right? If they're up to date, they're saying pullback, 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 then new high. So everyone's like, oh, we got to get ready for the pullback. So if they're going to enter shorts, where are they going to put the stop loss? Probably above the 95K swing high. Maybe above this demand or supply zone up here, 97K. So yeah, kind of the same situation on Suie, where just like on Bitcoin, we're looking for a run of the highs. It's pretty similar here on Suie. Always got to think, what is the hive mind thinking, right? What's the matrix thinking? What is the mass contagion of the human mind? All commingled together now via social media and the internet. What are they all thinking? Right, they're all looking for the pullback. So yeah, I mean it's close, and I want to take a golden pocket retracement from the all-time high to this low, and see where the GP comes up, as well as the 50%. I don't know, man. That's interesting. Where's the equilibrium of the swing high to the swing low? It's right in the supply zone. It's literally exactly at the high level I was saying at $3.54. 356. Satopi, my man. I think that's the trigger. Wait for it to sweep those highs. Look for an SFP and short it. But maybe we'll get to radium in a moment. But I want to keep it moving for the time being. Glasshopper says, Connor, send some of that magical juju my way for an Atlantis Dex tablet. I gotta retain my magical juju. I'm kidding. I'll send some juju your way. There it is, into the ether. Hopefully it finds you. But nah, for real though, that was just luck. Sometimes I have extreme levels of luck. It's actually, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of like scary how lucky I can be at times. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't make sense. Declan says, smash the like button. Dan says, your TA helped me out incredibly, my man. You're welcome, Dan. I mean, I'm glad I could help, dude. That's why I do this. Vincent, Treble doesn't support Suie. It's a native DEX on the base chain. Suie was never in the roadmap. Suie was never mentioned once. I'm not sure what the fuss is over Suie. But like Suie is in left field and like Treb's in right field. They have nothing to do with each other. Let's see, Joe Gut, Brett OX240 on Ethereum, 100x. So we have this guy saying the Brett on ETH is going to go 100x. We have Crash saying the Brett on Base is going to go 100x. We have the 100,000 other people saying that Wolf is going to go 100x. And Andy on ETH or Blast or whatever is going to go 100x. And then we have people saying that Baby Pepe is... Wait, are they really going to go 100x? No, they're not. I hate to break it to you, but they ain't. Is this going to hit $1 billion market cap? I'll eat my words if it does. But to say this is going to go from 10 million to 1 billion market cap, when the other Brett's already at 500 million and it's hit 2 billion, it would need a mass exodus out of the other Brett into this. Because you might not like Crash, but he's managed to convince the market that his Brett is the Brett to pay attention to, right? The market decides at the end of the day, not me, not you, not anyone else. It's the collective of everyone that makes up the market that decides, what has value and what doesn't. So the fact that we have a Brett valued at 538 million, another one valued at 10 million, it kind of tells us that the market's decided in a different way. And I'm not even saying I'm like a Brett bull, right? Or a Brett on Base bull. This is just the objective reality of the situation. So yeah, I'm not sure this will go 100x, but hey, when it comes to the markets, it's always probabilities. So if I had to guess though, I'd put like a 0.0001% chance on going to 100x. It's not zero. It's not a 0% chance, but it's pretty low. Anyways, just an explanation. Joe Gut, that was to Joe Gut, yeah. But we got Egeld63. What is going on, Egeld? Good to see you. He says, hey, Connor, glad to catch you live. Thoughts on Andy? So Andy, I'm going to guess it's Andy on ETH. Because there's Andy on Blast, Andy on Base, Andy on Sol. But the Andy on ETH is, again, the one that the market's chosen. 52 million market cap compared to all the other ones. 1 million, 3 million. The market's chosen this one. All right, so Andy on ETH. All these altcoins look the same out of the bottom, right? And they're all just moving out of their lows now. Similar to what happened over here in September 2024. So here's the thing. Are we going to have a crazy sustained altcoin rally into a crazy altcoin season right now? I gave my thoughts on that at the beginning of the stream. By the way, let me see WorldCoin real quick. So this, yeah, that's in a level, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let's get back to Andy. So if we're not expecting Bitcoin dominance to roll over just yet, right? It doesn't mean it can pull, it can go like this, but I still think it's going to go up here to 66%. It means that if we're going to go like totally far out on the risk curve and start buying, the highest beta assets we can find, like meme coins, for example, or highest risk, highest reward. We just have to understand what we're getting ourselves into. All right. So my thoughts on Andy are exactly that, right? It's very out there on the risk curve. It can make you a lot of money very quickly if you buy it at the right time. It does look like, this is a right time. Maybe not at this exact moment, right? Because maybe it draws down a bit before continuing higher. But it doesn't look like the worst time to go into these crazy high risk, high beta, high risk reward assets. So thoughts on Andy are, it looks bottomed out. I'd say there's a pretty good chance it does end up trading into this area. Right, a pretty good chance it ends up trading into this area. Which, from the current price, you know, you're looking at around 100% or 120% gains. Right? To this area, which are solid gains. 100%. From the bottom, it's probably more like 400%. Or 370, yeah, 400%. So yeah, it looks like there's money to be made on this coin. The path that it takes, right? I doubt it goes straight up like this, but it may. But more likely than not, we may get something around 40, 50 million, or we're at 50, right? We may get something closer to 40 into the mid 30s. But yeah, it does look like it wants to trade higher and continue to rally. It's just starting to move now off of its bottom. It's already up 100% from its bottom. When it comes to buying anything at the moment in time, I probably would be looking to wait for this chart to make its way back up to the Monday range at 5.35%. This is USDT dominance. And then we look for the move down to 4.6. So when it comes to buying things, Andy, whatever, you know, keep that in mind, right? But Andy does look like it does want to trade higher, right? You can't really ignore this. You can't ignore this chart, this breakout, this bump and run. It's all there. And the move, like, how it always works. Let's go look at Pepe, for example. How it always works is the volatility happens, right? And then after the move happens, everyone wants to buy. Okay, right? So right now we're kind of in a period where the move is underway, right? We're in the very early stages of a potential parabolic move on meme coins like Andy, right? It hasn't put in a real breakaway parabolic candle. But when it does, do not even think about adding anything, right? Don't think about buying more, whatever, because it may pump again, but it's largely at that point in time after a major move has already happened. It's just too late to buy. But yeah, for something like this right now, like it hasn't really had a crazy expansive move just yet. It is up 100% from the bottom. But you know, ideally it happens quick and then you got to sell and move on, in my opinion. But anyways, looking at the other memes, right? Some other base memes. Miggles looks like it's moving out of the bottom. Keycat potentially moving out of its bottom. Bepe trying to regain lost ground, but nice rounded bottom. Coins like Based Yoda. Ski Mask Dog, by the way, at 66 million. Continuing to push. And Boda up here at 560K with May the 4th coming up. So, you know, with all of these memes, whatever you guys are holding as well, if you're not in anything at this point in time, remember what I talked about this live stream about the pullback? But if in a week or 2 weeks from now, we get a crazy move, you have to understand that that very well could be the crazy move we'll see for a while. And we could go into a very slow period for a prolonged period of time again. So just keep that in mind. And because it always gets so crazy with the FOMO, with the greed, that feeling like you're missing out, like you need to buy all these crazy dog shit meme coins. It always gets like that. The greed runs super high. And if we get a little bit of a push here, even more so than we've gotten, it will be like that again. We'll have everyone will be convinced that we'll trade a new all-time highs on Bitcoin, and ETH is going to the new all-time high and stuff like that. But the way this cycle has gone so far, it wouldn't shock me at all if they hyped up, buttered up retail a bunch and then just whacked them again. And keep in mind, we have something really important coming up. May is just around the corner. And what's in May? Something really important is in May. What is that? What's in May that's super important coming up? The Bitcoin conference, May 27th through May 29th. Now, while we're here in this live stream, there's a ton of questions I could get to right now in the live chat, but I just came up with a good idea on the spot. So I'm going to do that instead of going through the live chat. Hope you guys understand, because I'm running the show. But anyways, real quick, we just had the Titanic, right? April 15th. I'm just going to mark that up real quick. I want to show you guys something. I am putting these yellow dotted lines. So why was I talking about the Titanic before? Well, if we look, let's just going back to 2022. Typically, we saw around the dates major moves down in price from that like April 15th date, right? There's multiple instances where it marked an exact local top or very, very close to it. You know, in this case, last April, we had already topped. We ended up, making fresh lows of 49K. So this was the first Titanic in a while where it was the inverse. It was the opposite effect. And everything so far this cycle has been the opposite, right? Oh, Bitcoin will make a new all-time high after the halving. Made a new all-time high before the halving. This example here that I just showed you, right? Typically in April, we'll see some brutal sell-offs and price will go on and make new lows. In this case, the low is already in, and instead we're pushing to make fresh highs. That's a second clear example of how like everything's basically flipped on its head. Also, altcoin season, it's going to go to Ethereum, high caps, then mid caps, and then the low caps and meme coins. No, not this time. It went from Bitcoin, meme coins, nothing in between. So are we going to get the opposite effect here of the Bitcoin conference? Because every time this has happened in the past, it's been extremely bearish for the price of crypto for Bitcoin and altcoins. This has been the most reliable top signal that we've seen for the past few years. Are they going to flip it on its head again? That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm thinking about. And obviously this is a month in advance. But this game does require critical thinking skills. It does. Right? Despite what they want to tell you, right? You got people saying it's whatever. It doesn't require critical thinking, but it most certainly does. And if you don't have critical thinking, well, you're going to get led to the slaughterhouse. But anyways, we have about a month period here till that day that I was just discussing, right? The 27th. So how's it going to look? If our plan right now is to look for something like this and then like this, what happens if we spend some time, or sorry, not like that, like this and then like this, right? Are we going to spend some time here and then hit 72? Are we going to just, pull back to mid 90s and then go for 100K new highs? Not sure yet. We're talking several moves into the future here. But all I'm saying is if we do get a pretty crazy pump on altcoins, right, going back to what I was talking about with memes like Andy and all the other stuff, I just am trying to make it very clear to have it in your head right now that don't be a buyer in the future, in a week from now. Don't be a buyer if something like this happens, right? Just like Suie right now, it doesn't make sense to be a buyer of Suie at the current market price. Does not make sense to be a buyer of this coin here. Many coins are in their early stages of a pretty parabolic looking pump. If you want to buy some shit, I'm not giving financial advice, but I'd say if you want to, look for this pullback, buy what you want to buy, and then other than like just shorter term trades, I wouldn't even think about adding risk to the market because nothing's changed in the grand scheme of things, right? Yeah, sure. We got Trump saying he's going to meet with China and negotiate with them and, all of these things, but nothing's changed on the macro with the tariffs or whatever. Like that's all still there. They just delayed it. So it still looks pretty bleak and the stock market still looks like shit, by the way, too. Right? I'm not sure that's bottomed either. So yeah, don't buy things when they're in premiums is what I'm trying to tell you. Right now, many things are not yet in premiums. And if we do get a nice pullback on or retracement up higher on USDT dominance, we could get some really, really nice entries for a big move. And that could be it for a while. Anyways. Oh, let's see what's going on here in the chat. So Minsky says Treb top 10% is 91%. That seems unsustainable. So again, I don't want to single somebody out here and say, oh, they don't have critical thinking, because if you're not familiar with crypto, this is very easy to overlook. But what I want you to do, let's see. Let's pick any random transaction. Let's pick this guy. Whatever. We just want to go to base scan. And now we want to click on the Treb token. Here it is, Treb. Now we can go to holders. So you're saying the top 10 wallets is 91%. Well, let's look at facts. This is a contract address, right? It's a smart contract, I should say. All right, so smart contract. So the top 7 wallets are not people holding the tokens, right? They're smart contracts, whether they're vesting, treasury, whatever, set up by the team. It's not supply that can be sold on the open market by any means. What I would encourage you to do is go to the TrebleSwap website. Right, go to TrebleSwap.com. And I encourage you to read the white paper. And I encourage you to go over the tokenomics section of the white paper. Page number 6. Actually, 5.4. It's still page number 6, but we want to go to 5.4. Yeah, go look at section number 5. as well as the other ones, right? They talk about these contract wallets and how they work. This is not people holding 90% of the supply. It's not. We got a super chat. We got a super chat from Angel saying, do you think Andy on base will explode? Do I think Andy on base will explode? So I went over the other Andy I got asked about on ETH, and I talked about how there's like 5 Andys all in different chains. I remember Andy on base. My guy Royal Degens, right? My co-host for Twitter Spaces, right? He legitimately bought this coin. Like, he literally bought this coin within like the first 5 minutes of it going live. Just sniped it. So I remember Andy on base well. And I never owned this one. But it was mad funny because I just remember how the team was like he bought like 1% of the supply. Like he literally saw it on the open market. It was epic. It was one of the most epic trades I've ever seen, to be honest with you, which is why he's my co-host for Twitter Spaces, right? I mean, he's damn good at playing this game. But anyways, I'm familiar with Andy on base. Do I think it will explode? I don't think so. All right, it might pull a crazy move to 30 million again and do another 10x. It might do something like that. But to have capital in this coin, if you're going to buy it now, or if you're underwater, I can understand potentially waiting for this to come back up to sell it at a higher price. But in terms of buying it now and adding risk to it now, it just doesn't make sense to me. When there's 5 other Andys on the market on ETH and Blast and everything else. To get this one to pump, I'm not sure how they will manage to do it. So my answer to that question is no, I don't think it will explode. Let's see, T2006, he says, hey Connor, are rate cuts as important as a lot of the YouTube crypto channels say they are? Do we really need rate cuts for the bull run to happen? Yeah, rate cuts are important. They make the cost to borrow money lower, right? When interest rates go down, it's cheaper to borrow money, meaning that capital is more free flowing, it's more easily accessible, and a lot of that capital does find its way into the market. Right, especially if you combine rate cuts with a little stimulus as well, like they did in 2020 or something like that. It could lead to some pretty big jumps. So yeah, rate cuts are important. Now the YouTubers that constantly, I haven't mentioned rate cuts in, I don't know, a long time. Because if we're just gonna sit by passively and wait and do nothing, we can talk about rate cuts. But there's many things happening. The market is going to move in the meantime. It's going to move up and it's going to move down. There's going to be crazy swings in both directions like we're seeing right now without any rate cuts. So the reason I think, this is not like to you, but the reason I think that that a lot of YouTubers can constantly talk about rate cuts, once we get rate cuts, we'll get altcoin season. They need something to say to keep you watching them, basically. Right? Because they don't go into the charts, right? Maybe they don't believe in TA or whatever, but that's their shtick, basically. Don't worry, guys, just keep watching me, and when the rate cuts happen, we're all going to be millionaires. That's probably what they're saying. And if we think about that for a second, so let's just sit on our ass and do nothing until rate cuts happen. We'll continue to DCA into the market. You know, we'll be down 50% on the DCAs we made a month ago, but it's okay because rate cuts are around the corner. That seems like a flawed mindset to me. It seems like that's the shtick of that said YouTuber or whoever is saying that, just to keep the people coming back and watching him so he can make money off his little ad revenue. Rate cuts are a catalyst, but those can be 3, 6, maybe even more time down the line. So yeah, I mean, there's so many facets to the crypto game, to the world of financial markets, right? So much to learn, so much to study, so much to apply, so many different strategies. To just sit on our ass and say we're going to wait for rate cuts and we'll be millionaires when the rate cuts happen, it just seems like such a lazy thing. It seems so freaking lazy. So yeah, I don't necessarily fully agree with it. I agree that rate cuts are a catalyst, but I think it's a complete cope to say let's just sit back, kick our feet up, and let's just wait for rate cuts, guys. Don't worry. And everything's going to be all right. It doesn't make sense to me personally, but I understand why they say it. S&P may have bottomed. All right, let's look at the ES. I mean, potentially, yes. You do have some, daily closures above this low from August 2024. Yeah, it's in contention, but right, like this swing low, I put more emphasis on this swing high, sorry, not swing low. Let me redraw this because I think I had that on a log scale, and now we're on a regular chart, which is why our lines aren't necessarily adding up too well. May have, for sure may have, but we need more confirmation. But there's a very valid argument that this is bottomed, yeah, I'd say. Let's see, people asking about Near Protocol. Let's take a look at Near real quick. Hop it back over to crypto. So Near, pretty juicy move on Tuesday. Really juicy Monday range play on Tuesday that happened, where you had price come sweep its Monday low, you know, retest these lows in demand, and then just take off like a 20%er. So that was a very clean move on this coin. Like every other alt we've looked at, right? It's given us signs that it also SFP'd this high. So this one is looking like it may potentially want to give us a pullback here. It also hit this level, which is a 288 HOB. Anyone saying, oh, never mind. I was just talking. But yeah, it's very important to identify these because they work super well. So yeah, it hit the level just like WLD, another AI coin. It hit the level, and it's looking kind of weak, lads. All right, WLD hit this level at 92. It's testing it. Same thing as near. But anyways, we're looking at the trees while we should be looking at the forest. When we take a look and zoom out at the forest, we can see that there is basically air until $3. Right, $3 is the actual, you know, major level to be paying attention to here. Right, that's like the destination we should be looking for this current rally. You know, if it doesn't make its way back up to around 4, which is a big higher time frame. Actually, this is the target for the rally, $4. Look at this daily time frame fair value gap it left behind, and the time frame is different where the zone is identified, but you know, that's the real target here. So when we zoom out, we know that price is likely on its way to around $3.70 to $4. However, we are weary that it won't go up there in a straight line. We're aware of that fact. And like I was saying yesterday, or was it 2 days ago, right? If we're going to have a big expansive week, we're going to leave this Monday range in the past. But we probably will come back and test. Right? We want to test the buyers. We want to test and make sure that the buyers are for real first. So price will likely come and do that before eventually making its breakaway. So it's Thursday now. We're getting towards the end of the week. I would say if we are going to pull back, we're in the spot, but maybe we come up here to like 264. Triple drive top, and then it pulls back. But regardless, right, when we zoom out, we know we're targeting a lot higher from here. We want to pick a spot to hop on the train to get there. You know, where's that spot? That spot looks like it may potentially be from around 250 to 230. But yeah, I'll keep you updated on it. Just kind of general rough plans are same as BTC, basically maybe a small spike, pull back, then continue. But yeah, again, we're in a new buy program. Given the fact that these major liquidity charts have told us this, given us the information that we're in a new buy program. The last time a buy program started up, it was August 5th. That's when Bitcoin bottomed out at 49K. Basically, this one started on April 7th. Monday, April 7th, we saw Bitcoin go to 74K. Leave behind its level. Ethereum also left behind its level, coincidentally enough. But yeah, we're in a new buy program. So with that, we know that in this buy program, that's when we have periods of, big moves to the upside. How long this one will last for, time will tell. But we are looking for this to come and expand to the upside. And there's going to be a lot of money to make just holding. Right, we're probably going to see at the end of this like a lot of really speculative garbage bullshit coins pump hard again. But we're in the very early stages of this buy program, right? We're in the third week of it, and this is the first expansive week that we've had, right? The real breakout week has been this week. So we want to be able to ride the trend higher. We know the trend is now up and not down. So given that, we look for the pullback on the uptrend. And that's the overall game plan right now. Again, for BTC, we're very close to the previous swing high at 95. We also have a supply zone at 96 to 97. So, for a short trigger, it would be ideal if we SFP'd, but maybe we front run the level and just pull back instead. Time will tell, but we're at resistance and we're looking for the dip. We got Alan Williams from Japan. That's awesome. Enjoy Japan, dude. It sounds like fun. That sounds like fun. I've been there. I went last year for was I there for 4 days? It was just a stopover. I was making my way back to the USA and had a great time. But anyways, people asking about ACH Alchemy Pay. So again, bottomed out down here 1.7 cents on April 7th. Has pumped up to resistance now. If I had to guess what this is, right? This coin's crazy volatile, but it's probably in some kind of range consolidation before an eventual move higher. So just keeping it simple while we're at it, right? It's still in its Monday range. So at this point, I look for a move below the Monday low for a reason to be long, and then look to have it push up to 3.8 cents would be the target. But in general, hope that helps everyone. Big things coming, not just for the crypto market, but for crypto empire. You guys will see soon enough. But that's all for me tonight. Appreciate you all being here. Again, the goal for the stream is 200 likes. We're about halfway there. It will get hit. I trust the crypto empire community to bring us to the point where we will hit that milestone. And I'll see you all very soon here at Crypto Empire, where we dominate the crypto market. Have a great rest of your night. Have a great day if it's the daytime for you. And I'm signing out. So I'll see you probably tomorrow. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Confirmed. Have a great night.